Alright, so this will be my updated Essence Drain character video. The previous version that I have a video of, I believe, was back in Delirium. The key differences between those two characters is the previous character focused more on temporal chains and curse effectiveness, with temp chains as a defensive mechanism alongside max block. This version does not use temp chains, but instead we're adding more spell dodge. So if you've never played Essence Drain before, the way it works is we use Contagion, wherever I have that. We use Contagion on a pack of monsters first. And it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, as you can see. I mean, it does damage, but we also add... We do Contagion, and then we'd add Essence Drain, and that is going to chain to everything else. Contagion, Essence Drain, and everything's just around, it's gonna die. And for single target, we add Blight. Now, about the passive tree, I have a shit ton to talk about, so let's just get the gear portion of the video. So all of my gear is harvest crafted, so the gear you're will be looking at is kind of ridiculous. So on our wand we want trigger socket spells, and in there we're using Tempest Shield and Cold Snap. Smoke Mine doesn't actually trigger, but I prefer to move around with Smoke Mine and then Flame Dash afterwards, so you can ignore the Smoke Mine if you will. The main stat you want to look for is Chaos Damage over Time Multiplier. On top of that you want +1 to Chaos or all spell skill gems. And a perfect wand would look something like this, but you would add, you would remove the cast speed, and you would add Malevolence, Effectiveness, and Despair on hit. So for helmet, you want as much energy shield as you possibly can, alongside with nearby enemies have a -9% to chaos resistance. You will need a hunter helmet for that. In my helmet we have a cast damage taken and steel skin. And I also have malevolence and a portal gem in here. As for the shield, you want as much energy shield as you possibly can, alongside with recover 5% of energy shield when you block. You will need a shaper shield for this. And ideally you want a titanium spirit shield over a fossilized, because titanium has a higher block chance, a higher base block chance. And in the shield we've got Withering Step with Second Wind and Flame Dash. I actually never used Withering Step, so... as for Amulet, well, you can't really get a better Amulet than this. Chaos of a Time Multiplier along with Resist and +2 Chaos and +2 Intelligence. And then we Mastercraft the Energy Shield, because, I mean, we might as well do that because the tier 1 that you can roll is also 20%. Or 22%, I can't remember. Rings, you could go with a Shaper Ring, because there we can add spell damage. That's basically all we can add, really. So Energy Shield, Resist, and spell damage. I also went with an Unset Ring to put Discipline in here, and I got +3, and then Resist. I never finished harvest crafting this ring, so it's supposed to have higher fire res, first of all, and second of all, an energy shield roll, but I never got around to finish the ring. Boots, you could go with Sintrick to start off with, until you can, you know, craft some boots where you want Redeemer for chance to dodge spell hits, and then, you know, a decent amount of energy shield, and then you could craft movement speed with Onslaught, unless you hit like 35%, I guess. Because if you hit 35%, because Onslaught is 20%, right? Yeah, so you're missing out on like 5%. So in my boots, I have Contagion linked up with increased AoE, Intensify, and Arcane Surge. So with Arcane Surge, you want to make sure you don't over level it, because at level 9, gain Arcane Surge after spending a total of 51 mana with supported skills, and currently my Contagion costs 53. So if I level it, if I level Arcane Surge one more, I'm not going to get Arcane Surge when I use Contagion. I will have to use it like twice in a row to get it. And for our belt, we want a crystal belt with a Crusader crystal belt. And we want to try and hit percent energy shield alongside with spell damage during any flask effect, but you know, that's not important. I do believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe I might need that strength roll. Yeah. Wow, I only need 3 extra strengths. Okay. I think when I actually rolled the character, I needed like way more. So I used, I think I used an essence to hit the strength, and then, you know, whatever I could add, remove to finish it. As for gloves, we want Essence of Delirium, which adds Socketed Gem Steel 30% more damage over time. So in here I have Blight with Efficacy, Control Destruction, and Infused Channeling. And then, of course, for our main 6-link setup, we have Essence Drain with Efficacy, Control Destruction, Swift Deflection, Void Manipulation, and Empower. You will want an Empower level 4 to make it better than Energy Shield Leech support, because I think a level 3 Empower is just about equal. You could also do this a little bit differently. You could put your Essence Drain inside of your what did I say, Delirium? Yeah, inside your Delirium gloves, because you would still have a 5-link Essence Drain, and then you would 6-link your Blight for a better single target. Now some last words about the gear. Now you see like all tons of +1s and Guess of a Time and spell damage like all over my gear. That's mainly just single target. For clear speed, you don't need all of that extra damage, but with Harvest coming back core, it's not going to be that difficult to actually get the kind of gear that I am showing you here. Right, so I'm not quite sure where to begin with the passive tree, so I guess we'll start with the Ascendacy. So the obvious core ones would be Ghost Dance and Escape Artist. Now, with Ritual, we will lose the 10% chance to dodge spell hits if you have Energy Shield. Which isn't really that bad, because, you know, currently I have 50%, so that means we're just going down to 40%. So it's not that awful. It's you know, it's bad, but it's not. It could have been worse. And then we want Patient Reaper and then Prolonged Pain. And now the thing is, Patient Reaper, we've lost the 50% increased damage over time. So we lose 50% increased damage. And whilst leveling, that is huge. But you know, once you hit maps, that 50%, that's nothing. So while they removed that and nerfed that, it's actually not that bad. It's like not bad at all. It's not good, but it's not bad at all. So the main thing we want here is the energy shield and mana recovery on kill, which is gonna help us tremendously when we're clearing maps. But then there's Swift Killer versus Prolonged Pain. So with Swift Killer, we get +1 to Frenzy and Power Charges, and then we get a chance to gain Frenzy and Power Charge on kill. We also get 5% increased damage per Frenzy and Power Charge, and this would put us at 4 charges each, totaling of 8 charges. So 8 times 5 is 40% increased damage, which I'm told, I haven't actually looked into this too much, but I'm told Swift Killer while mapping is a lot better than Prolonged Pain. But bossing, you want Prolonged Pain, because when you're bossing, you're not gonna get the charges. Right, so let's just start from the shadow start here. So we're going to the bottom here because just to save points. Because by going to the bottom, we're saving. Actually, how much are we saving? I think we're saving something like 2 points by going to the bottom here, and when we do get the opportunity, we want a small thread of hope so we can get face acrobatics. We don't want to get acrobatics, go through the dodge and then face acrobatics, because acrobatics has a we get less energy shield, 30%, and we get 30% less chance to block. So that is really bad. So we want face acro, but to get that we do need a thread of hope. We could also, if you find some points left over, you could get piercing shots. Pierce used to be mandatory for Essence Drain like back in the day, but now it's more of a convenience. So if you want that, you could grab that. You can get some more evasion. That's about it for the options. What we do want, along with face acro, is Hunter's Gambit. While it does say increase the damage with bows, we don't get that, but we do get the chaos damage over time multiplier, because that is global. We don't get the increase over damage over time though, however, at the bottom. We have Anointed Deflection. I'm gonna come back to this. We have no Witness to get elusive, because that gives us an additional chance to dodge, and it also gives us an additional movement speed. So this is a very good defense, and it is very nice for clearing maps. But I still feel like no Witness is really strong, but I still feel it's optional if you want this or not. We then go up to grab Arcane Swiftness for the block. We'll come back to the clusters later. We can get back. Actually, we'll do the Watcher's Eye now. I just have a Malevolence Watcher's Eye. We don't need this. A Malevolence Watcher's Eye is generally very expensive, and we truly do not need this. We also grab some Arcane Focus and Arcane Will. Now, Arcane Will only gives me, I think only like a flat 100. Let's see if it gets rid of this. We got 444 down to 313. Yeah. So in terms of energy shield, it doesn't give that much, but we do need mana because we are mana starved. Single target bosses such as Guardians, Uber Elder, and stuff like that. We will starve on mana and run out. We obviously have a Spreading Rot, and Spreading Rot is your best option to get Corrupting Blood immunity, because it is a unique jewel, so you just buy as many of them as you can. They're generally just a chaos each tops, and then you just spam Vol Orbs on it until you get it. And then we get more block and energy shield. And then we go down to another Thread of Hope, which honestly we don't really need. But first of all, let's talk about Glancing Blow. So in the past, we had, I actually have a legacy version of that, but you could get Glancing Blows with Lethal Pride, but that is legacy now. So you just put Lethal Pride in here and you could grab Glancing Blows here now, but now you have to actually travel like an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 4 or 5 extra points just to get down there. But with a Thread of Hope, we can get Amplify, which for some more AoE, and we can also get Sanctuary if we need. I'm not sure if I want to talk about Sanctuary versus Deflection right now, or I guess we could. Let's just talk about Sovereignty first. So Sovereignty, I grabbed Sovereignty just simply because I could. I had points left over, and it was there, and you know, more mana is gonna give me a higher uptime on bosses. But so Sanctuary and Deflection, you only need one of them. So Deflection is generally what you would anoint, but we only really need one of them if you have the correct cluster. Are we on clusters yet? I guess we are. So for the cluster, you want Conjured Wall and you want Mage Hunter. Now I don't have Mage Hunter, but the two that you want here is Conjured Wall and Mage Hunter. So Mage Hunter gives you an additional 4% chance to block spell damage. So the reason I only have one of them is because I only needed one of them. So you can see now, chance to block spell damage 66, the rest is capped. But as the gem says, chance to block if you cast a spell recently. So if I do Contagion, I'm up to 75%, and Contagion is going to be up like all the time. Now if I take off Deflection, I'm still capped on spell and attack. And Deflection gives me 4%, but with Glancing Blow that is 8% because it doubles. And Sanctuary gives me also 8. However, Deflection gives me 40% increased defenses from equipped shield, which means 40% increased energy shield. This one only gives me resists, and with Harvest Crafting we are not going to be resist starved. So arguably you could, I mean, you truly don't need the Thread of Hope, but you would get rid of Sanctuary, the Amplify, and the Sovereignty. If you want the AoE, you could, you know, go further up for Blast Radius. And you know, if you want more, or if you want more mana instead, you could just go for Prodigal Perfection. You just have a stupid amount of options. Right. So let's go back to the cluster. So the core that you want, like I said, it's Conjured Wall and Mage Hunter, and then 2 Energy from Naught. But if you find yourself like, oh, I don't want, yeah, I don't know, like I don't want no Witness, I don't want, you know, this thing here. That means you're saved up some points. You could go for double mediums, and your option there would be Brush with Death and Exposure Therapy for damage over time multipliers, and then, you know, you could add your Energy from Naught at the end of it. You could also do Self-Control. Discipline has 30% reduced mana reservation. So with that, you're gonna have an even bigger mana pool. Like if you're somehow struggling with mana. I think we're done. I'm looking at my note. I'm not really seeing anything. Thread of Hope, you know, you can ignore that one, honestly. Unless you need the extra block, it's really nice. Because if you need the extra block, I'd say it's worth grabbing the other two. But if you don't need this block node here, you don't need this Thread of Hope. You could put in like a double or a triple multiplier jewel or something, and save these 3 points into more cluster. No. So the last thing before we end this character, my Flask setup. So since I don't have a Despair Ring and I don't have a Despair Wand, mostly because the wand was too low item level, and the reason the wand is lower item level is so it would be easier to hit all of the things here. Like if it's eye level, I can't remember if it's 62, 64, it has to be below something, like I can't remember, it's ages since I crafted this wand, but the lower item level the wand is, the easier it is to hit the +1s. Both are the +1, so. But you need, I think, a eye level 75 to hit Despair or Malevolence. So if you can get a Despair on hit ring, or you know, on your wand, then you know you obviously don't need this Flask. But yeah, I use the Flask because I don't have Blasphemy, I don't have, you know, Despair anywhere, and I don't want to self-cast it. So we got Wishfire Brew. And then we have a Jade. If you're a Trickster, you definitely want a Jade. You 100% need a Jade if you're a Trickster. End of story. Doesn't matter what you're playing. Then obviously a Quicksilver, and then we got a Quartz, and a Basalt. And all of them with reduced charges, so that we get extra charges. Freeze, Bleed, and Curse. Oh, dude. I should have added this. Maybe I'll just add a text. You know what, I'll just do a post-edit text thing, because I was gonna, never mind, I'll do a post-edit text. Well, I am going to edit this video, and then I am going to sleep, and hopefully wake up before the new league starts. Bye!